So hello guys, welcome to my channel, that is Programming School, and today we'll learn about the concept of context manager in Python. So suppose you are building a program in Python that depends on external resources like files, logs and network connections. It is mandatory that you handle those resources properly. Otherwise, over the time, these unhandled resources may create a lot of issues for your program and eventually may stop your program from running. So as an example, if you open a file, you read the contents of the file and you forget to close that file. So that file or a chunk of that file will remain in your RAM forever. Or maybe you have built a web server that connects to a database, and whenever you are requesting something to the server is connecting to the database, doing some operation or fetching data, and then returning the response without closing that connection. So over the point of time, it will create so many connections to the database that it will reach the maximum threshold of the connection pool, and after some time it cannot connect to the database again. To handle all these kind of tricky situations that you may fail at the first attempt, Python gives you context manager. So what is context manager? Context manager is just an object that defines the runtime context of a block of code. So what does this mean? So this means that context manager gives you the power of automatically handling resources, and it can automatically close those resources or release these resources, and it provides you a better readability of the code. So how does it provide you like automatic resource handling? So in context manager comes in two parts. So it has actually two parts. One is the setup and one is the tear down. In the setup part, it writes your context manager writes the logic or holds the logic where you actually access these resources and return that resource or another specific object to your program that you may use. And then after you have done working with the context manager will tear down this resource, releasing it from your memory or closing the network connections and doing all that kind of stuff. So how does it work in coding actual program? So Python provides you two approaches for creating the context manager. One is class based and one is function based. So initially we will see how class based one is done, because that will provide you a better understanding. To do that, we will create a class named my context, and to create a class based context manager, we have to primarily use two dunder methods. One is enter and one is exit. Enter holds the logic of creating the context, and exit holds the logic of tear down the or release the resource, or tear down logic. Okay, so you get the idea of how is that. So maybe here we'll receive a class that is a resource, and R should be in small, and then it will dot resource is equal to resource class, and we'll instantiate here. Maybe instead of resource class we will type resource. That is good. And whenever you may want to use these double underscore methods. This will just make this attribute private. I don't know what is happening here. Why is rename to resource rename to what? Resource private resource. There is some issue with the resource. I'll forget about it. Def exit, and in the exit method where you write the teardown logic, you can just simply delete the object here. So here, suppose what we have to do, we have to create a class that we can pass here, right? Maybe we can rewrite a dummy resource class that does nothing, and then one more thing, remember that whenever you are using the context manager, always use with statement, so it gives you a wrapper. So whenever you are using the with statement and you are calling this context manager here, it will actually execute this part of code. Okay, and as so whatever you are returning here, maybe you are sorry, to return something, you are returning self.private resource, the object you are returning here, so we'll receive the object here. So just remember that this my context expects you to pass a resource here, so you will pass the resource here, and the issue it is showing that unexpected argument. Okay, so unexpected argument because we have to catch the argument in the constructor. So this argument part of code will move from here to here and move it for here. So right now what we have done is we have created a my context manager that accepts a class that is the dummy resource. It instantiates the class here and stores it in a private attribute, that is private resource, and within this enter dunder method it returns this private resource. Maybe you may do some write some extra logic, doesn't matter, based on your requirements and the logic the logic of your program. And then after that, whenever this block of code is executed, whatever logic you write here that is executed, that finishes, Python will invoke this exit method and it will delete the object. So now what we can do to see this object is actually the instance of this one is we can also do, instead of the assert object is instance, right? Instance object dummy resource, and then if we run this application, we see there is no assertion error, so that's why we can be sure that our code is running. Okay, so this is the class based approach of how you can create the context manager. So if you are not passing anything in your context manager, maybe you are connecting to some database and doing some stuff, so in that case you may not need this one, so you don't need to create the constructor here. Only the enter and the exit method will be sufficient. And what is that? Oh, so the next is the function based the context manager. So function, to use the function based context manager, what you have to do, you have to import context leave, import context manager. So this is a decorator actually. So I think I have covered decorator in my last video. If you want, you can check how decorator works and everything from there. And then you create a function that is my own context. Okay, and then within this function you just create a try and finally block. In the try you may what you can do, you can have the same logic here. You accept a resource, you like instance. Okay, and then in the instance you can do this one and not return. Here you have to use the yield for it, and then finally instance. I'm not sure why it is. Reformat the file. Okay, sorry. So reformat the file. So now what we can do, we can actually try and test our function, and then I will show you like what is happening here. So we'll pass here my context, and then my context. I think we can actually comment this one, so we can be pretty sure that only, sorry, not this one. We can be pretty sure that only our code is running. Okay, I don't see any issue. If I just run here, yeah, our code is running. And to be double sure that this object is actually the instance of the dummy resource class, we can print the name of the class also. So the name of the class is dummy resource. This is printed here. So here we have created a context manager using a function approach that accepts a argument, that is resource, a class, and then we, in the try and final block, consider the try block as the enter block here, where you write the context logic and the setup logic, and the finally is the one where you write the tear down logic. So whenever, if you are working with the SQL Alchemy ORM or object ORM, so you will create the session here and you will yield the session from here, and then finally you have done working with the session, you will close the session here. Okay, so this is the concept. This is for setting up the logic, this is for tearing down the logic, this is for the creating the resource, and this is for tear down the resource or releasing the resource. And here you see, you don't have to actually do anything with how, like, this is encapsulated, this logic, and this logic is separated, encapsulated and abstracted. So in your actual program, which when you will be using this context manager, you don't have to worry about any of these things. Like the resource handling will be done automatically as the definition says. So this was how the context manager works in Python. Yeah, feel free to comment if you have found any issue in my teaching or something like that, and if you find it helpful, please do comment that also. It will be a huge support for me. And please like the video, subscribe if you like it, if you want to see for like more videos from me. And bye, have a nice day or good night. See you later in the next video.